Anjana here. HR is a rewarding career that gives ample opportunity for career advancement. To pursue a career in HR, what is the academic background that you require? Before enrolling to a program in HR, what are the factors to consider? Let's discuss. Today I'm in conversation with Dr. Sona Vikas. She's an associate professor at IILM in Gurgaon. She comes with 21 years of work experience, including more than 7 years in corporate. Welcome to Pep Talk. HR is touted as a rewarding career that promises sufficient advancement opportunities. So, no wonder it is favored by multitudes as a dream career. What is the prerequisite for pursuing a career in HRM? I understand students with any academic background can do a PG.
As a faculty in the area of HR and OB, it may seem very natural for me to encourage a career in the area of HR, but I would not ideally do that for everyone. This is an area that requires specific skills and functional knowledge, and it is not everybody's cup of tea. An interest in the subject is a must. Not everyone can get into a role in the area of HR. Students generally take up HR thinking that they cannot do sales and marketing or they cannot do finance. So, what is the popular option left? That is HR. And that's how they end up taking it. As far as we look at the prerequisite, we realize that uh, one should go for HR only if it is a conscious decision, not an afterthought. Students who enjoy interacting with people should opt for HR. Anyone who feels that they have a knack of dealing with people from diverse backgrounds, then they are the right fit for HR. This is the only prerequisite. As far as the education background is concerned, HR is not a discipline, wherein prerequisites are required with respect to the academic background. Any bachelor's will suffice, and it does not affect the admission eligibility in PGDM or MBA in HR.
Okay, ma'am. There are institutes offering dual specializations in PGDM. So, is it advisable to take dual specialization? Do they have an advantage there? How would you decide the streams?
Uh, See, more than 50% of the students who take up PGDM or MBA do not know what specialization to pursue, which is fine at the time of admission. It is better to decide at the completion of year one, when one would have studied all the subjects. They would have got a 360-degree view of the entire organization and how does it work. And stream should be decided based on the interest and the aptitude in that particular specialization. But unfortunately, again, most of the students, they make the mistake of uh, pursuing those streams in which companies visiting their campus are more in number, or the packages are higher. And we see that these are the very students who end up switching their jobs and streams within a year of joining. The student can make a choice as a dual specialization, wherein he or she studies an equal number of electives and in both the streams. So if you've taken up a dual specialization in, say, HR and marketing, you study equal number of subjects at the end of the first year. Now, it becomes very tricky to convince a recruiter that you are interested in both. How can you be interested in a marketing and an HR career simultaneously? So those students who are interested to become an entrepreneur, or they have an interest in business, it is fine for those kind of students to take up dual specializations. More majorly, if you see that companies today are switching to super specializations, wherein it is not about a combination of marketing, HR, but it will be about within HR. What you want to get into: acquisition, you want to get into learning and development, you want to get into appraisals or compensation, so on and so forth. So those are the kind of options now you have as a career. The other option, students generally go for it to make it as a major minor, wherein they have an increased number of electives over the other. Now, one more thing that you can go for is a single specialization wherein you study only one specialization, only one stream, and the knowledge gained is far more than any other combination, because here you are dedicatedly studying only one kind of specializations, which is actually uh, the right thing to do, because now you have studied all that is required, you've studied all the important subjects, and you know the area in and out. At least it is better than any other elective, or any other student who has studied dual or major minor. And most importantly, students should know what kind of roles they are getting into. That will give them an idea whether these roles look interesting for them or not, whether they will be able to, work in these areas or not. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what boils down is what kind of work we are doing in the organization. And that is the base on which our decision to take the specializations should lie.
Okay, right. So even I was under the notion that if you have dual specialization, your option is more. But okay, that I got it. That so, ma'am, there are people who do BBA. So, do they have any advantage over others? How should they plan their higher studies after the graduation? Should they go straight to do a PG, or should they take a break and then have some industry experience and then further pursue their higher studies? How would you advise?
So see, BBA today is a very popular career program, because even science students can pursue it, anybody from arts can pursue it, and it does not have a prerequisite. Also, it offers better placement opportunities compared to the other streams. And the curriculum is designed in such a way that you could easily take up higher studies, you could take up a job, you could start your own venture, you could become an entrepreneur. There are a plethora of opportunities which are open for students who are pursuing BBA. Now, if the students are looking to do higher studies after their graduation, they need to start preparing in year 2 itself, so that they can give the entrance exams well on time and not waste a year for the same. We have to understand that companies are looking for reasons to reject us. So if during MBA I'm sitting for placements, it is going to become very difficult for me to justify to a recruiter why was there a year gap. So, this is one thing which needs to be very clearly understood. The second thing is that MBA PGTM is one of the most suitable options after BBA. And to get through, the premier institutions, one needs to acknowledge that there is a huge competition, there are limited seats. So an early preparation for the national exams like the CAT or the MAT, NMAT, CMAT, all these exams are there. You can get admission in good B schools provided you have started preparing early in your career. Now, now on that question whether you should go for a job or you should go for the higher studies after graduation, it totally depends on your family circumstances. If you are supposed to be the provider in the house, then you should go for a job and there will be ample opportunities for you. There are a lot of companies who have started recruiting after the BBA as and at the graduation level. However, if you are totally not clear, not interested in higher studies at that moment, you can again take up a job opportunity, see, explore yourself, see what areas you like, and then maybe after a couple of years, come back to do an MBA in the area which you have started liking in your work environment where you started working. There is another situation that sometimes students feel that once they get into a job, it will be very difficult for them to come back to study again. But we have seen that there is an increasing trend of graduates who have worked for 3 or 4 years, and then they try for premier institutions like the ISB or IIMs, which give a lot of weightage. Substantial weightage is given to students with work experience. So you can evaluate at that particular time when you enter your second year of graduation that what is it that you are inclined to do? Are you ready to take up employment, or you want to just finish your studies first and complete your post graduation and then go for job once and for all? So totally entirely your area of interest. I have given you, both sides of the story. There is nothing right or wrong. Anything that suits you, which you feel that you can give your 100% to it, go for that. There is nothing that you are making the right or the wrong decision to go for higher studies or a job after a BBA you can surely do. There are a lot of courses parallel to BBA, like BMS is there, BBS is there, BMS. These are the popular options which are equivalent to BBA. All of them are in business administration or business management stream, so you can go for any of them, and they are like a mini MBA. I always call that these are the mini MBAs, because the curriculum is modeled on the similar way, and you are easily able to do the post graduation after these courses without having any kind of problem.
Okay, ma'am. So, how about online training in HRM after plus two, like while pursuing another degree? And do they need to do a PG, or else a good internship will be sufficient to initiate a decent career?
So see, after plus two, uh, students should, primarily focus on the degree, getting exposure, strengthening their personal profiles, participating in institutional activities, and and online training and HR can help students only if they are pursuing a graduation like BBA, BMS, BBS, any full time 3-year degree program. Then it makes sense for them, and they can pursue this training that we are talking about, online training, to get additional knowledge of HR. They will definitely get a better understanding of what HR is all about, and recruiters may consider them for the fresher positions in HR, particularly in the area of recruitment, because that is where most of the jobs lie, at least in the initial stages of your life. So, online certifications, online trainings are good enough. You can't base your career on them, however, because you have to work for the next 40 years. How can we base our career only on an online training? You can get as much online certifications, online trainings, online internships, but these are all stopgap arrangements to enhance your knowledge, maybe a little bit of your skills, but the actual you know uh, work lies when you do a proper PGDM or a full-time MBA in the area of HR. That is where the importance lies, and lot of companies today have started giving additional responsibilities, promotions, increased um, the workload of those candidates who have a postgraduate degree on a full time basis, compared to those who have just earned certifications in HR at the beginning of their career.
Okay, sure. So the perks cannot be ignored, right? Okay, so coming to the course, ma'am, there is human resource management and human resource development. So, what is the difference? As a layman, I don't know about this. So, what is the scope of this? Like HRM and HRD, what is it?
So, HRM is human resource management and HRD is human resource development. HRM is a larger umbrella as a function in the organization which focuses on different sub functions like recruitment and selection, learning and development, performance management, compensation and benefits, and it is more employee focused. If you look at HRD or human resource development, the focus is more on the organization per se, the organizational development, organization interventions for developing the organizational efficiency. The scope of HRD is immense, but we need specialists for this field, because not everybody who is into HR can actually get into OD or HR development. And since it talks about, the organization as a whole, and there are a lot of other aspects that you need to understand, including, sensitivity training. You need to know how the organization interventions can work when restructuring is happening, mergers and acquisitions are happening, when you need to bring about an organizational transformation. So that is where human resource development comes into the picture. Whereas HRM is more oriented towards the day-to-day functioning of the employees, their motivation, their engagement, their acquisition, their training. So that is the a basic difference as far as HRM and HRD are concerned.
Okay, so human resource management ensures the smooth functioning of the organization. So, okay, there are functions related to employees and functions related to the organization. So, in short, what will be the major responsibilities of HR professionals, if I just ask?
So, if we look at, the responsibility or the day-to-day working of the HR professionals, we can say that, they are performing multiple tasks as generalist, like recruitment, selection, documentation, background verification, induction, preparing offer letters, learning and development, performance appraisals, employee engagement, employee grievance handling, handling the well-being of the employees, their mental well-being, their emotional, physical well-being, their wellness as well. So these are the day-to-day working of the HR that is done in the organization. Now there are two concepts that we need to understand, that HR is divided in two parts in the organization. One as generalists, the roles which I just outlined. The second is specialist. Depending on the size of the organization, the type of the organization, how large is their HR department, we will have employees handling both these functions. So there will be some people who are in the core HR who will be overlooking the all these functions, whereas there will be specialists who will be looking at the specific function in the HR. So for example, there could be an executive compensation and benefits, there could be a training coordinator, there could be a technical recruiter. So there are these employees who are looking after the specific roles within the HR department, and their role is typically confined to the role that they are playing. Like if it is L&D, then and coordination role, then they are working out on the training calendar. If they are recruiters, then they scan the CVs, they shortlist for the selection processes. If they are looking at the compensation benefits, then they are only looking at that particular bit of the payroll. So depending on the kind of organization, so if you look at the multinational companies, you look at the Indian organizations, the small and medium organizations, so depending on that, how placed the HR is in that organization, it totally depends on what kind of role they will perform.
Ma'am, so if I ask you, like, what are the skills required for a manager? Like, what makes a good manager?
See, to be a successful manager or a successful HR professional, you need to have a very strong interpersonal skills, the patience to deal with people. If I look at the larger context, I also see flexibility, adaptability, attention to details, excellent communication skills, very good negotiation skills. These are some of the key requirements when you get into HR. Also required are good listening skills, a very positive approach. Today people are talking about happiness officers. So this concept has come in because they assume that HR is the right person to get happiness in the organization amongst the employees. They are the ones who have to engage and retain the employees. So the HR guy, you will see, is the one who builds rapport very quickly within, his peers, his other colleagues, departmental heads, departmental employees. He's also a very creative person because he has to come up with very interesting ways to engage and retain the employees in the organization. So if you have these skills, HR is the right kind of field for you, and these skills will help you go way up in the success for your career. Also, one more important thing is tact and discretion, because you need to have you will be having access to very confidential information related to the background of the people, related to their compensation structures. So as the HR, you need to yourself be very secretive, so to say, in order to ensure that there is no information breach happening, privacy of the employees is maintained. And if you are able to do that, you will be definitely somebody who can be successful as an HR manager.
Wonderful. So, for a fresher, what should be an ideal career path? What's the job roles offered to HR professionals?
If you look at the career path of a fresher, for so to say, they can initially get either a generalist role, or as a HR business partner, or as a recruiter, or as a training coordinator, or it could be an HR operational role. These are majorly the entry level roles the freshers get. And as they gain experience, they rise up in the organization and they take the senior roles. An ideal career path would be like, starting from an executive to senior executive, assistant manager, senior manager, vice president, going up to the CHRO, or the chief human resource officer, or chief people officer. So imagine HR has now got into that space of being in the board of directors. It has become a C-suite profession. So it's a huge scope, immense potential, provided the freshers have the patience. If they think that they're going to jump the gun and reach straight away to a CHRO level, it's not going to happen. You will have to spend an adequate time in organizations. You will have to have diverse experience. You would have to stay in organizations and actually learn from the entire business cycle, how things work, how the functions work. Then there is no stopping them. I have seen colleagues and my counterparts in the industry who are getting packages as high as 1 CR or 2 CR per annum, which is immensely gratifying, because that yes, HR has reached that level where they are being acknowledged by organizations as a critical strategic role, in their company. So it is fantastic time. If students are able to understand that, there is no stopping them. They can actually do wonders in their career as in the HR area.
Right. So, what is the new normal in HR? Because pandemic has changed our lives. Like, it is remote working. So definitely the role of HR would also have changed. So there must be new verticals now.
Well, frankly speaking, unlike what people would have thought, HR has actually been overworking in the pandemic. HR is the most effective department as far as the pandemic or the COVID-19 is concerned. And in the new normal, it is the HR where the most action is happening. And the reason for that is the new normal is talking about remote working. It is talking about use of digital technologies and tools, and all of them have a direct implication on the dynamics of the organization. Now, monitoring geographically dispersed employees, managing social isolation, issues related to employee health and mental well-being, sustaining an organization culture, creating flexibility in the virtual workplace, ensuring talent management. these are all the areas where HR is having to work with, which with much more, you know, action, a lot of things to be done, so that employees don't feel at any point of time that they are disconnected, or they are there is a sense of insecurity that seeps in. So the role of HR has evolved overnight. It's become that, imagine all kind of organizations except manufacturing have to deal with a different virtual workplace which they never imagined. So the role of HR has changed overnight. It has changed so drastically that they could have never imagined that they will be working in these kind of situations and circumstances. Employee experience has become the most important role of HR in today's virtual environment. And people are talking about talent management, talent engagement, talent retention, for the simple reason people don't want the organization to lose out on the talent pool and the talented workforce. And this new environment has brought in different work policies, a different organization culture. The HR SOPs have changed, because now, from the physical to the virtual, everything has changed. The organization has transformed in huge proportions. Earlier, remote working was confined to specific roles, specific organizations. Today, almost everybody is working from home, and organizations have even announced going virtual permanently. So it brings about the Herculean task to make sure that all the employees are adapted to this environment. The compensation, the appraisals, the learning, the technologies, everything is now being given importance and giving its due, because things are not in the physical space anymore. So this has brought about huge changes in the way the employees are handling the HR function, and the top management is under obligation to support the HR with whatever interventions they are proposing, with whatever initiatives they are proposing, because they understand that for so many employees this is the first time that they are working virtual, and they do not want to lose them out just because of this shift. So huge changes, and it's a very exciting environment. If the freshers are able to understand that they can bring about a huge change and contribute so immensely in the organization, HR is actually the place to be in the next 10 years.
Great. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very informative session, and thank you so much for your time.
So, thank you very much. It was entirely my pleasure. I hope that through this discussion and our interaction, students will get at least some direction and get to know about what HR is all about and how the future is going to be. Right from devising very interesting online engagement activities for their employees, even games, parties online, to doing the serious work of strategizing how HR can contribute to the organization. The new normal is having immense opportunities for those who are passionate, who are interested, and believe me, you will never regret being part of HR. Those who are in marketing, finance, they are looking for opportunities to get into HR today. That is the kind of relevance HR is having for organizations, and I'm so glad that it is an opportunity for me to share with the budding professionals that this is a career which you should definitely go for and never have two thoughts about it. So thank you, Anjana, for this opportunity, and all the best to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Thank you. Keep watching Pep Talk. Thank you.